Hello, SPED 2010 students. I hope everyone had a great week last week. I know it was a heavy chapter, or heavy module, if you will, with behavior. I mean, it was a lot. Like I said, you could spend a whole semester really just diving into behavior and behavior intervention plans and how you conduct and evaluate the students and collect data. So it was a lot, and I wish we could spend more time, but hopefully you were able to learn a lot. You got a lot out of it. We are moving on. Unfortunately, I wish we could spend more time, but we're moving on into assistive technology. So that's where we're going to draw our focus this week. But before we get into Module 9, Assistive Technology, I wanted you to kind of see where we are because we are winding down the semester. It's about finished. So I kind of wanted to let you see a look ahead, if you will. So as I said, this week is Module 9, Assistive Technology. We have 3 weeks left, and that is including final exam. I cannot believe it. So what we will do is after we finish this week out, you will start in Module 10. Now, on our syllabus here, you will see that Module 10 is 2 weeks. And the reason I did this is because this is really closing out our textbook when we're talking about implementing effective instructional strategies and what that looks like. And part of that piece is going to be your co-teaching presentations. So you had to complete a lesson plan as well as a presentation. So that's a lot to cover, and I wanted us to have time to get our presentations in there. Also during this time, you'll notice is when you're going to have to make sure your mentor teacher either emails or mails out the journal and closing documents. The closing documents, and then this is where you will submit your journal and your written analysis, which is your reflection paper, to the Dropbox as well. So there's a lot going on these 2 weeks. A lot of things are due. Your service learning stuff is due. That means everything. Your evaluation, your log, which is sent again by the mentor teacher, your service learning journal and written analysis, which is put in Dropbox, and then your co-teaching lesson plan and your assignments. So since there's so much, I just made it 2 weeks. So after we finished all that, we will be in our last week, which is going to be what we call our finals. So we have our finals week, which is May 5th through 8th. Again, since this is an online class, you will not come in, and I'll send a video talking about this when that time comes, but just to preface real quick, you won't come in to take your final. You will continue the same testing format that we have the entire semester. But I will be sending an email and talking about that in a video of I will only have it open for a certain time. It won't stay open an entire week like it does for normal exams because we follow the final exam rules and schedule. And then we'll also work on our wrap-up closing activities for the semester as well. So those videos will be coming. In next week's video, I will be talking to you a little bit more about the final wrap-up as far as your presentations, because that's going to be in that 2 weeks as well. So talking about if you want to film yourself and how we do that. So all those things will come in the next video. So if you're wondering about that, don't stress. It's going to be okay, and we'll talk about those things. So this is what I want you to do. Since we kind of know what's going on the rest of the semester, and hopefully you've been looking at the syllabus course calendar, I want you to still work on your presentations for co-teaching. Now, you should have already emailed me your co-teaching strategy choice and your 2 co-teaching models that you want to use, as well as if you are working alone or with a partner. So just continue to work on that. And if you need to reach out to me because you need help or assistance, I'm more than happy to do that. So just reach out and let me know that you need help with this assignment and you don't really know where to start. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into Module 9, Assistive Technology. So with Module 9, Assistive Technology, we're really diving into looking at what kind of tools can we use. And when we say tools, we're talking about innovative learning tools. that will serve students who have exceptional needs, right? So students with diverse abilities sometimes will need to use a variety of different assistive technology tools. So this can be things like text-to-speech software, word prediction software. There are screen magnification software. We have different manipulatives. We have mind mapping software. Really, there's so many different kinds of technologies out there. So it's your job as a teacher, even if you're not going into special ed specifically, as an educator, you should know that there are assistive technology and be aware of this. So this is why, because technology is such a driving force in education, it's important for us to understand how we can implement this in an inclusive classroom, right? So that's what our focus will be for this module. Now, I do have some learning objectives here. So I want us to be able to analyze the role of technology in this 21st century classroom and how assistive technology plays an integral part. You're going to define examples in terms of assistive technology and assistive technology services. Explain how the use of assistive technology in the classroom can improve academic outcomes for every student. Apply the SETT framework for assistive technology consideration. And then lastly, provide examples of assistive and innovative technology for use in the classroom. So these are going to be our main objectives for this module, which is going to help us meet our course outcomes listed here. So the next part is for you to look at the terminology, these keywords and concepts. Now, these keywords and concepts are going to be coming from your textbook specifically. It's going to allow you to better understand and define some of those assistive technology, but also how it's related in the classroom. So it's important for you to know these keywords and concepts. So Module 9 has standards. So how are we connecting Module 9 to in-task teacher preparation standards? Well, we're going to look at Standard 2, learning differences, Standard 3, learning environments, and Standard 10, leadership and collaboration. So through Module 9, we're going to meet these in-task standards. So for Module 9, in terms of Council for Exceptional Children, we're going to be looking at learner development and individual learning differences, learning environments, assessment, and instructional planning and strategies. So those standards will be covered through Module 9. So now let's look at your reading and resources. We are going to be looking specifically at Chapter 12. So you will read Chapter 12 in your textbook. I did provide you with the PowerPoint that goes along with the Chapter 12, as well as the outline there for you. How are you going to be assessed? So actually, I have something kind of exciting that I created for you that I think is going to help you connect better to the content. But before I get into what your assignment is, I want you to see here you do have your Module 9 quiz. It is due Sunday, April 20th, and it will open on Monday, April 14th. So what you're going to do with this assignment is you're going to create a letter, if you will, or it could be a pamphlet. So whenever you're a teacher in a classroom, whether it's special ed, resource, inclusive classroom, you have to have assistive technology help meet the needs of your students, right? So we know that there are 10 common areas, and your book talks about this, of assistive technology, right? So those are communication, mobility, positioning, computer access, vision and hearing, behavior and organization, instructional aids, independence transition, and young children. So all of these are actually in Table 12.1 in your textbook. What you're going to do is sometimes you realize assistive technology is not going to be a one-size-fits-all. And what you have to do is consider selecting certain technologies for the students. Now, when you consider selecting them, we use what we call a SET framework, and SET stands for Student, Environment, Task, and Tools. And we use this framework to kind of help us assess what would work best for this specific student. This is necessary for my student to be successful, right? To reach the everyday task in the classroom. So your objective really is to explain how using assistive technology in the classroom can improve the outcomes for everyday student. So what I did is I give you a scenario about a student named Natasha. She's a 5th grader in your class. She has moderately severe scoliosis and she wears a back brace. And you notice that her scoliosis and back brace interferes with her ability to engage successfully in several academic and physical tasks. She cannot sit comfortably in a regular chair or participate in certain physical education activities. So you are part of the IEP team. And what you need to do is to prepare a request for assistive technology specialist, which is also AT, and you're going to evaluate Natasha and make special recommendations for assistive tools. Now, in order to make special recommendations, right, or request, you have to observe Natasha. What are her challenges that are hindering her in the classroom across the curriculum? And how can this assistive technology help her overcome these challenges? So I gave you some assignment instructions. So first, we're going to prepare a request. So this could be done through like a pamphlet, a sample letter. Most of the time, sample letters is what we use. And I have a sample letter here, which I'll show you in just a minute. Now, I'd rather you use something like the sample letter instead of like a pamphlet when you're completing your request, right? So they'll obviously have a form and paperwork, but the letter is attached with it. So we're not worrying about the paperwork this time. I didn't give it to you. We're only looking at the sample letter. And you're going to, in this letter, request certain technology. And you're going to identify which 2 areas Natasha is experiencing difficulties and explain how she could benefit from the specific assistive technology, right, using a functional outcome statement. Now you're thinking, where do I get all this information? If we go back up to the top here where I gave you summary, it talks about in 2 things in your textbook that you have to pay close attention to help you complete this assignment. The first one is to go in the textbook in chapter 12 where it talks about the SET framework, and I want you to look at that. And the reason I have you look at that is because anytime you're considering to select certain tools, you've got to look at the framework to help you when you're considering certain ones. We're going to also look at table 12.1 in your textbook where it goes over the common areas of assistive technology, right? And you need to look at specifically which one could help a student who has scoliosis and wears a back brace, okay? Because a lot of her hindrance or challenges is going to be physical, right? So you'll even see here it says to refer to table 12.1, but I also want you to look at the SET framework because it's very helpful. So look at that when you're writing your letter. Now, after you write your letter, you're going to complete the self-evaluation. So for each item of your letter, you need to explain how this item or technology addresses the issue of Natasha in the scenario. Give evidence from your textbook that supports your request, and I want you to cite it. And then lastly, describe and justify how your handout or your letter will improve teaching and learning in the scenario. Okay, so this is what I've had people do in the past. Some people did the letter, some students, and then they also did a little handout about that specific technology, which is helpful. If you are not going to have a handout about that specific technology accompanying your request letter, which I feel like is very helpful when you're trying to request technology for that student, which many times that's what IEP teams will do. They'll have a handout that talks about that specific technology along with the request letter. I'm not requiring that you do this. You do have to submit the request letter. But if you are not going to accompany that with a handout about that specific technology, it might help for you to include some pictures I've had students in the past that would include pictures at the bottom of the letter or a separate document that has the information with images. Really helps someone if you're serious about requesting this technology. So you may want to think about going about it that way as well. But now, do I require the handout? No. But here's the thing. We have so many neat tools that can help us. So I know Canva is one where you can create some really amazing things. You have your Office 365. You have tools that will help you create handouts, right? PowerPoint, you can create handouts on PowerPoint. So you do have ways of creating something to go along with your letter. And students who have completed the handout with the sample letter did receive extra points because that's going above and beyond. But that's what I wanted to explain when it says your handout, because some people were confused and they thought, well, do I do the handout or the letter? The letter there is an example because you do need to do the letter, but I wanted you to get an idea of what a letter requesting assistive technology would look like. Okay, so obviously when you're doing a letter, you are doing it on behalf of the student. This has parents' information. I don't want that. I want you to just put your information. So you don't have to put the special education director's name. However, if you are requesting assistive technology, the parent is part of the IEP team. That's why you'll have all of these names here, right? And this is getting sent to higher up. So that the director is usually, or the person that's in charge of the assistive technology for that district. So what you'll do is just put your information there. You'll put Natasia's name, that you don't have to put the parent's name. But this is giving you an idea in the letter of what they're looking at, right? We, the parents, but it be we, meaning I'm the teacher of Natasia that attends this school. This is her grade level. These are my concerns about her education. You list them. For example, written expression, communication, mobility, right? So you would look at her specific scenario and list the concerns. And to address the concerns, we are requesting assistive technology assessment be conducted. And then again, you're going to list what needs would be met for Natasia. What assistive technology devices would be helpful? What physical or occupational therapy service might you request as well? And then again, you're going to close out and then put your name. Okay, so you're not coming in terms of a parent, but as a teacher that's helping the parents on the IEP team. So just keep that in mind. And then again, you will send this to the Dropbox. Now, if you want to, as I mentioned, at the bottom, it might even help, since this is a formal letter, do a separate document with pictures of the actual system technology and tell a little snippet about it. It helps visually to see what you're requesting. So that's just, a suggestion for you. But I'm going to give you creative endeavors here. You guys sample. I'm not telling you exactly every single thing to put because I want to see where you go with it. That's why I'm kind of just letting you see what the scenario is, what I'm looking for, which is the letter, and some kind of visual, some information. Again, you can create a handout that goes along with the letter. But these are the things that you'll be doing to be assessed for Module 9. All right, I hope that everyone has a great rest of your week. Remember, continue working on your co-teaching presentation. I will be doing a little bit more in-depth video next week. Remember, the Module 10 is 2 weeks long. So next week we'll talk a little bit more about wrapping up, recording yourself, and whether you're working with a partner or not, and what that stuff looks like. But in the meantime, if you have trouble and you don't understand the co-teaching assignment, or you don't know which co-teaching models would work best and you need more assistance, please reach out and I'm more than happy to help you. All right, I hope everyone has a great week, and until next time, take care.